Today, we have a special guest from Vietnam. His name is Lee. So, welcome, Lee. Welcome to the Billion Insight podcast. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you, man?
Yeah, I'm good also, man. So, Lee, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Lee, which is my English name. My Vietnamese name is Lê Đức Hiếu. That's my Vietnamese name. I am 17 years old, and I'm currently studying in high school, and I am in grade 11, which is 1 year apart from going to the university.
Hmm. Where do you live in Vietnam?
I live in the capital of Vietnam, which is Hanoi. I live in a small hometown in the edge of the city. It's like, well, pretty much like that. I just can't really tell you the name because it's a Vietnamese name, so it's hard for me to pronounce it in English.
So, you live in the capital.
Yeah, I live in the capital. You could tell that.
Okay. So, how many languages Vietnam people can speak?
The usual Vietnamese, like the typical Vietnamese person, I think they could speak around two languages, but like for the adults, it could be too fluent speaking Vietnamese and they know a few words about English. But
Hmm.
as for us students, the
Hmm.
majority of students know how to speak English, but at a fundamental level, I believe so, because like we study English through all the tests and all those formula, not by speaking to people, like practicing, like I am speaking with you right now. So maybe if you ask them something, they can tell you. But if it's like too complicated, then might be impossible. But some of the people in Vietnam who study professionally about English like me, who practice English like me, then
Hmm.
yeah, I could tell you that I speak two languages, but not too
Hmm.
fluent. That's for sure.
Hmm. Interesting. So, Lee, can you say like hello and how are you and nice to meet you in Vietnamese language?
Yeah, okay. Hello is xin chào.
Hmm.
Nice to meet you is rất vui được gặp bạn.
Hmm.
How are you? It's like bạn có ổn không? Hôm nay như thế nào? Yeah, that's like the two ways of saying.
Hmm.
It's very hard for you to actually speak Vietnamese because we have all kinds of different accent. And
Yep,
we
yep, yep.
also have to study about a lot of excessive stuff.
It sounds more Chinese to me, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty much like that because like we have a pretty like related history about Chinese people, so we even borrow some of the words from the Chinese people. So
Hmm.
it could be related. Some of the words, like when you speak Chinese, you can probably think about Vietnamese at the same, pretty much like
Oh,
that. I think it's like 60% of it will be like Chinese.
hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Lee, what are some traditional festival or celebration that you celebrate in Vietnam?
Well, to be honest, I don't really have much in my mind right now. So the most obvious thing would be the Tet holiday, which is like a very special occasion when it's like when in the final day of the year, people will like gather together, watch some comedy show to like wish each other for the best for the next year, and pretty much like that. And we also have a tradition of giving away lucky money and stuff like that to pretty much like that. It's pretty much like that. The Tet festival throughout the years, I think that we are not very much like other countries. We do not have Christmas. We do not have a very special festival. Like if you want to have a very special festival, like some festival that people gather around like in the neighborhood and they eat together, and we kind of just like we establish it alone, just from that area to other area, you know,
Hmm.
pretty
Yep,
much like
yep,
that.
yep.
That's on my perspective because like my family doesn't really, care much about all those festival. Only the Tet festival.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about your country's cuisine. So, what are some of your favorite or famous dishes from your country?
The famous food that I could think of, it's banh mi.
Hmm. So, banh mi.
Yeah, it's banh mi. It's like we got inspired from French people. That's basically like a big spread of bread, and you put all those topping in the middle, and you wrap it up. You eat it with special sauce, like the spicy sauce, the tomato sauce, the white sauce we call magini. I don't know how to spell it, but like yeah, it's like that. And the topping could varies from really different sources to different sources. Like if you live from like this place, like in the Ho Chi Minh City, a
Hmm.
different area from the capital of Vietnam, then you eat banh mi with different sauces. You eat banh mi with different toppings. You eat banh mi with like different kind of decorations, I think. So it's
Hmm.
like it depends a lot on the place that you're in Vietnam to taste the kind of banh mi that is because it's just like it's really really different from other places, you know. So like for me, I live in the Hanoi, which is the capital. I
Mm-hmm.
eat banh mi a lot, and the typical banh mi that I usually eat is that the egg, the eggs banh mi, the sausage banh mi, pate banh mi, which is like the special mixture with meat and animal blood, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Hmm.
other thing is that the other thing, I mean, duck fat. Yeah, I mean duck fat, and also you can also it has that variation also. Um,
Yeah. So banh mi is
Also there,
so
yeah,
diverse food.
yeah. Still, I'm still want to talk more about food because my country it's very special about food, I think.
Yep, yep, yep. Please, please.
We
I
also,
want to talk about food. Any
yeah, yeah.
other dishes that you like to mention? Yep.
I also like pho. It's like
Hmm.
a special kind of noodle. It's like I don't know how to describe it. You need to have a picture of it. It's like it's white, it's thin, unlike any other noodles that we usually eat, like instant noodle. It's like that. We
Hmm.
have a special broth. You cook it with different animals' bone, like you cook it with like chicken, you cook it with beef, you cook it with pork, so it has like different flavors. And we also top it with a lot of like different spicy sauce in Vietnam,
Hmm.
so it tastes awesome.
Hmm.
And we also we also are a country very popular with cafe, you know about that. We
Hmm.
have different kinds of coffee, like the egg coffee,
Hmm.
the coconut coffee, and a lot of variations like that. You need to taste it. It tastes like very, very different from different parts in the world because I think I've tried before, and it's just like you need to have the special ingredients to put in it, you know?
Hmm.
Okay, okay,
Interesting.
yeah,
Coffee. Okay. Vietnam is known for its food also. I mean, apart from the technological thing, food is also very popular
yeah.
in your country.
We're also popular with rice. Like we have different kinds of rice, and we even like put it around the world. People taste it, and we even have like one of the most tastiest rice ever, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
which
I
is
mean, the name is ST something. I can't remember it. I think it's ST 45 or something. That's what
okay.
it's called.
Oh, okay. I found it. It is ST25.
Yeah.
So, Lee, do you like traveling?
My family actually traveled a lot when I was small. It's
Mm-hmm.
like inside the country because like when you want to go to different country, especially in my country, you need to have a passport, and
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be crazily expensive compared to other places because like maybe you not know about this before, but the currency in my country it's really really different from other country. It's like $1 in other countries could be 23,000 Vietnam dong in my country, and you can buy two banh mi with that, which is like you, I mean I'm saying this, but you can't imagine it. But if you want to go to different countries, especially like countries like America, Australia, California, you need to save money like by a lot. An average
Yep, yep.
worker, you have to save for like half a year for you to have a trip like that, you know, pretty
Hmm.
much like that. And maybe a year, half a year to a year. So my family usually travel a lot because like it was much cheaper in the past because the price of all
The
those traveling
inflation.
fees
You're talking about the
were,
inflation, right?
yeah, 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 maybe it is.
Hmm.
Like it used to be much cheaper in the past because the money price in Vietnam in the past was pretty high when compared to right now. So my family used to travel a lot, but for now, like
Mhm.
even if you want to travel inside the country, it will cost you a lot.
Hmm.
That's just like from my personal experience, I'm saying that.
Hmm. So, Lee, could you recommend any famous place from Vietnam for those who wanted to visit Vietnam?
Well, you can go to different places like the Ho Chi Minh City, which is also one of the big city in Vietnam. Well, I'll talk a little bit about the Ho Chi Minh City, okay, if that's okay.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, please.
If you want to go to Vietnam, I recommend first to go to the Ho Chi Minh City. Like you can try a lot of cuisines in there. Like you can try food with different flavors. It's like if I want to say this, but the taste in the Ho Chi Minh City, it's quite the opposite in the Hanoi city because like in the Ho Chi Minh City, they will eat a lot of like food with the sweetness, and in the Vietnam in the Hanoi city, people will eat it with a more saltiness, you know. So keep that in
Hmm.
mind if you like sweet food, if you have a sweet tooth, then you should go to the Ho Chi Minh City. And if you want to experience good type of food with the saltiness, then you should go to the Hanoi city.
Hmm.
And if you want to like kind of experience the view, you want to have a great view, you want to go to seaside town or something like that, then I would recommend going to Ha Long Bay
Mhm.
here, or
Hmm.
cities near sea like Nha Trang, which is also one of the a great place for you to go there and try all those seafood in Vietnam. I guarantee with you that it will be tasty here. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I recommend you. And you can also go to Kamal, which is a place very popular with different kinds of flowers. And so if you want to upload into social media or stuff like that, then you better go.
Mhm.
It's best for you to go there because like they have the best flowers around the country.
Hmm.
On my perspective.
Interesting. So, Lee, if you could pick three countries to visit other than your own, where would you like to go?
Well, the first country that I would like to go is Japan because
Hmm.
I'm a person who grew up watching anime a lot and I'm very interested in the country.
You
So
are an otaku.
basically like that. Like
Yeah.
I watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of all those like live shows about people going to Japan, and I see all those anime poster, all those anime monitor in the big street, and I would like to see that for myself. And I'm
Hmm.
also very interested in trying different food in Japan, also like the ramen, um, I, the takoyaki. Yeah, I also want to try
Mhm.
that.
Hmm.
The second place I would also like to go is China. Yeah. And the third country that I would like to go to, that I would like to visit, is America.
Hmm. So, Lee, what comes to your mind when you hear India?
Technologies, smart people, food, like very unique style food. And they're eating by hand, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I also want to know that. And they also have like the special round type of noodle, unlike the instant noodle when you have to eat it like it's like a long type of string. You will have like I mean, I saw that on TikTok once. They eat this special type of noodle, and it's like a little circle, you know. I want to eat that.
Hmm.
And like every time I am the person who uses computer a lot, so I have problems with my computer all the time. And every time I have problem, I usually just go to YouTube and find some Indian helpers in there to help me fix all those problems, and it worked every single time. So I'm very interested in that. I'm very impressed by that also. Yeah. So I you could tell that I have good impression with Indian people.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that sounds funny, but like that's real.
Yep. So, Lee, if you could travel
Yeah. To
back in time, what period in Vietnam history would you want to experience?
be honest, there are a lot of history events that I would like to travel back. I think I would like to travel back to the days that we were finally free. I guess it was awesome because like we were enslaved in the past, and if I could travel back to the time that we were free, we finally were free, then I could probably want to see the joy of the people with my own eyes because I only read that from all those like historical books talking about like the day that day when people they were throwing flowers everywhere, there were praises everywhere, and I would like to see that by myself,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
That's not very interesting because like I could literally go to different events, but like I'm not very interested in that. I like the history by itself, and I just want to see like you know all those
Yeah.
happy days because like maybe you don't know this before, but like we were enslaved in the past, and it was really bad. It was really sad, and maybe I'm just too soft to see that by myself, you know. So I would just like to see the happy days, the happy events, you know.
Hmm. So you want to go back in time and help those freedom fighters, right? To gain independence for your country.
Yeah, I also want to enjoy the moment by myself, you know,
Hmm.
if that could be possible.
Yep. The freedom movement. That's interesting, I would say. Can you tell me about that? How was that and which country occupied Vietnam?
Well, I'm not very good at history, so actually, like from the in the past, we were enslaved by really a lot of countries around the world. I could
Hmm.
tell you that it was the Americans fight that we fought. I think that we were enslaved once at that
Hmm.
time, and
Hmm.
we also had a lot of fights with the Chinese people like in the past, and
Hmm.
we got invaded plenty of times, really, and we kind of become a part of different countries in the past, and we finally got ourselves back. We like finally fought ourselves back and become the Vietnam as today. We have been through a lot of things, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I couldn't really tell you in specific details because I didn't really study much about the Vietnamese history, but I can tell you that we were enslaved like numerous of time.
Yeah, man, I can relate to that. I mean, India has been, I mean, occupied by various countries in the past also. I would like to ask you here as a political question.
Yeah,
What do you think about your government?
it is a very interesting question because like I do have a lot of different thoughts about my government. Like I know one thing for sure that we are not a very rich country. We're still developing right now.
Hmm.
But like the things that I hate about my country is that they don't really care much about the educational system in my country. You can tell that's for sure. I mean, as I mentioned before, the English learning system in my country, it's just really it has a lot of flaws. We only learn English by studying in textbook. We only learn English by doing all those tests and it's kind of I don't know how to say this because it's really complicated, but like you only study English, you receive the education in my country, you only study English just for you to pass the test, not for you to come to communicate with other people or go to different countries. It's only served that purpose, and it's just like I just think that it's really toxic. That's one of the problem. And all those taxes, the taxation system in my country, it's also really really bad. Like if you want to eat something, if like I used to go to a restaurant a lot, so I know there's sometime I have to pay more than 20, I have to pay like go up to 20% of the VAT tax. I don't know what is VAT, but that's just like it's really, really expensive. Like you would pay up to 20% of the original price. Like if you eat a meal that costs you 1 million Vietnam dong, then you will have to pay 1,020,000 Vietnam dong. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's also one of the problems. And the thing
Hmm.
is that also one of the worst thing is that we have a lot of like different people in my country. It's like they don't respect the citizens at all. Like they don't respect the citizens at all. Like we ask for a lot of stuff. We ask for renovations. We ask for them to help us in a lot of like difficult situations. But sometimes they rarely, occasionally they answer that. Like my family, we when we were in the pandemic, like the COVID-19, right?
Hmm.
My family asked for a lot of help from the government, but they never listened to us. We told a lot of like different people related to the government, like the police officers, like I could
Hmm.
rarely name them all because it's a lot of them, and they just like they wrote things down and they told us that it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be fine, but they never help us. That's the
Hmm.
problem. But you know, like I don't hate my country at all. I don't hate it at all because like I know that everything has flaws in it, and we just can't expect something good come from it. Like we don't expect it to be perf- we don't expect to be perfect. We don't expect to be perfect. We don't expect to be like that. But I'm just really sad about the fact that they don't improve anymore. They don't listen to us anymore. They don't like when I give you something, I tell you to please improve this, please improve that. They don't listen anymore because like you don't have the authority. You're not working in the government. You're not a big boss. You're not a rich guy. Then they wouldn't listen to you.
Hmm.
Basically, you have no authority. You have no impact on them. They don't care about you. Even if you
Hmm.
die, they don't care about you anymore. Yeah, I just feel like.
Do you think this is because of the nature of your government, that is a communist government? Because Vietnam is one of the few communist country. Do you think that if you had democracy in your country instead of communism, things would be different? Or do you think there would be still be problems in democracy as well?
I mean, if we're talking about like uh stuff like this, political related stuff like this, and I'm not entirely sure about this because I didn't really do my research, but
Okay.
I can tell you for one thing for sure, it's that we're still living right now. We're still living right now,
Hmm.
and I think it's fine at the moment. Like I don't really have much things to talk about like in this conversation. I can't really tell you. I
Yeah.
can really I can really put
Okay.
up to you a good
Yeah,
debate
yeah.
about stuff like this because
Got
like
it,
I'm
got it. I mean, political thing is, I know that is a really complicated thing.
yeah, it's really complicated and
Yeah. Just
like
one question here. Just one question here. Do you guys vote for your leader?
we don't get to vote. We don't really get to vote. Really,
Really?
it's not like America where you can get to vote this kind of person, but like I don't know if we get to vote because like for a normal citizen like me, I don't get any opportunity to vote for anyone.
In India, once you cross 18 years, you can able to vote.
Like I can tell you for sure that I am 17 years old.
Hmm.
So maybe in your country I cannot vote, but for my sister, she has already passed 20 and she couldn't even vote. My mother, she couldn't even vote because like maybe we're not qualified as a person who could vote. We do not have the authority to do that. So basically, what happens in my country, like there's a new president, we couldn't do anything about it, you know?
Okay.
We couldn't do
Hmm.
anything about it.
That's why people often compare the communism with the autocracy,
Yeah.
the dictatorship, one president for life.
It's like Russia, right?
But they have election in their country. At least the world sees it. Previously, I have a guest on my podcast who work in security and has experience working with election in Russia. If you want to learn about Russia and its election, I highly recommend you to check out that podcast, the link in the description. So Lee, as per you, you have never seen any election in Vietnam.
Not quite sure about this, but my perspective, I have never seen anything.
Okay.
Like in school, we do not have any educations that we receive about all those like elections, all those political stuff. We never study that. We only study about the laws, like what would happen if you do this, what would happen if you do that, and according to laws, this will happen, that will happen. But
Mhm.
honestly, as a student, I am in grade 11, but I have never studied about all those political stuff before, you know?
Okay, ma'am. So moving on.
Yeah.
So Lee, do you like sports?
Well, I don't know if you can call this a sport, but I like going to the gym. It's like bodybuilding. Maybe it's
Okay.
a sport. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
But
kind
I
of exercise, but technically it's not a sports. Can you tell me which is the most popular sports in Vietnam?
the most famous sport is undoubtedly football because a lot of people could like the reason why it is famous is that a lot of people could understand it and they could discuss with each other what's about that. It's like
Hmm.
if we're talking about bodybuilding, if we're talking
Hmm.
about that and you want to talk to an old people about bodybuilding, then probably he wouldn't understand it, you know. But if we're talking about football, then anybody could understand it. Anybody could discuss about it, and it's easy. It's really easy to get the information about football. It's really easy to know what's going on about football
Hmm.
because people talking about it all the time. You can make more friends. You can make more conversations with people.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Hmm. Yeah.
that's the reason why. But the less popular one, I think it is volleyball.
Hmm.
Yeah, for different reasons is that we have to study about volleyball in school. We have to study about that. It's like one of those sports that could help you to learn about all those techniques and all those like working with your teammates and something like that.
Hmm.
So I don't understand why if like football is so popular, why wouldn't they let us practice football in school instead of volleyball? But maybe volleyball is popular among younger people.
Hmm.
I'm not quite sure about that. Or like volleyball, it's much better to establish something as volleyball. Like you don't really have to buy much of those spaces. You can just like put something up and let them learn volleyball, sort of techniques.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I think.
Hmm. That's interesting. So personally, you do not play any sports. You love to hit the gym,
Yeah,
but
I love hitting gym.
yeah.
You you want to know the reason why?
Yep, yep.
The reason why is that while I used to play football when I was small, but like I my family kind of moved away when I was small, so I got shy, so I got embarrassed. I couldn't really make a lot of new friends, and I kind of just eat, you know. I ate a lot,
Hmm.
so that I became obese, and so that I study
Oh.
about bodybuildings and stuff like that in the past because people they created a lot of motivational videos. Maybe you know about that, like influencers like Andrew Tates and people like that. I got so motivated and I kind of chose to go. Kind of chose to go with bodybuilding because
Hmm.
it's great. It's great. It's
Interesting.
like leveling. It's kind of leveling up. You know, when you got obese and you go to the gym and you got much skinnier, you got much more muscular, and you
Yeah.
also meet a lot of people like they're giving you a lot of positive
Yeah.
energy. You know,
Yep,
and I
yep.
also noticed that, wait, let me say this. I also
Yeah.
noticed that, as for the Vietnamese people right now, like as for the male,
Okay, that's interesting. So earlier you were in a obese state. So how's your state now?
I think I'm pretty fine right now, thanks
Great.
to working out. You know, thanks to going to the gym, hitting the gym.
Whenever you feel bad about anything, that just remember that you went from obese to slim and fit shape. I mean, do you know that losing weight is very difficult for a human being? Very few actually can achieve this because many people they are not that disciplined.
Yeah, thanks.
So moving on, could you recommend? any popular movies from Vietnam? Hmm.
If you want to watch something that's like really hilarious in Vietnam, I guess if you like have a fundamentals level of the Vietnamese language, then I would recommend you watch some the TED Festival comedy. Like it makes especially in special occasions like TED, like in at the moment when the family gathers around,
Hmm.
then the comedy shows will go up in there and so people watch together, and I just think that it's super hilarious. That's like in special occasions. Any other than that, then I would not recommend you.
So you recommend comedy show which they telecast during the TED festival?
Yeah, that's actually associated with the TED Festival.
Okay. So Lee, what are the some popular website or online platform or application that used in Vietnam? Like popular e-commerce websites like Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have like plenty of those.
Yep.
I could recommend you some of the names, but like I could write it down like here. It's Shopee.
Any popular food delivery service?
Is
Mhm.
Shopee Food
According to you, which is the most popular social media platform in your country?
a social media platform? We use we use international platforms like Facebook, Instagram, but I do believe that we have one communication services such as like Zalo. It is like Messenger, you know. It is a platform where you can call for free, text for free. You can really just like kind of use it because Zalo, it's like you need to have a Vietnamese number to create. Yeah, that's what I think. And you can also like it's basically for the Vietnamese people. It's just like for Chinese people, they use something called
WeChat.
WeChat. Yeah, just like
Yeah.
that. So Zalo, it's basically for Vietnamese people because you can only create an account by using the Vietnamese. That's basically is because like
Okay.
I'm 100% sure that the Zalo is from Vietnam, you know,
Okay.
because like you can only really register by using the Vietnamese mobile phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lee, according to you, what are the most popular career option and educational program that you observe in your surroundings?
Well, according to me, as I observe, I think they most likely to study to become an IT, you know?
Hmm.
It's basically like because it's an increasingly popular chance in my in my country right now because people as per like people believe that the majority of people believe that the technologies will soon to replace human technologies in the future. So kind of like they want to study IT, so they want
Hmm.
to know more about technology so they could pretty much like survive in the future. That's what I think.
Hmm.
Uh, that's like the most popular trend right now, based on my research. But for me,
Hmm.
I think that I would just like follow the minority of people. I want to study what I would like to study, which is finance. I want
Hmm.
to study about money. I want to study about like pretty much like stuff related to money, so I could be flexible a little bit. That's like the infamous mindset that I'm having here because like people they want to follow all those like trend. People want to follow all those like things that could happen in the future, but I just want to do what I like, you know. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
it might be bad.
You have to follow your heart, man.
I wish, bro. Yeah, I
Yep,
wish it
yep.
could be.
So, Lee, what do you think? How the young people of your country view entrepreneurship?
I think it's also pretty popular in my country right now, especially for my generation. Like
Hmm.
in the past, as for my parents in the past, they were pretty insecure about stuff like this because they want to focus on sustainability. Like they
Yep.
want to have a sustainable income to provide their families,
Yep.
and that's just I think that's fine. I think that's nothing wrong with it. But for my generation, especially like for people like my peers, I think that they would like to create their own brands, would like to create their own places,
Hmm.
like they could have their own opportunities because like I think it's pretty rebellious compared to the past because like if we work under someone, they just have their own ego. They would not like to obey their commands anymore. Then opening their own brands could be possibly be the solution for that. That's like the popular mindset.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
That's basically what I think. You know, there are also a lot of people like they want to go to English countries like America, Australia, California for them to open their own shops, start their
Hmm.
own business. Because like I also do, I also am aware that people they know that like they learn English, they learn different languages, they could just go to different countries to find their own opportunities because like Vietnam is a developing country and it's
Hmm.
just it might be hard for people to like they know two languages and they just can't really they just can't really maximize its potential in here. So yeah, I think it's just like go to different countries, like receive scholarship from different sources. Like they could study to get a qualification of like the big test. Its name is IELTS, so they could like apply for a scholarship.
Hmm.
That's also like a different. It's also like a way to start the business, but it's in like a different
Hmm.
field. A lot of people they like to start a business inside the country, and a lot of people they would like to start the business outside the countries so
Hmm.
that they
Hmm.
could maximize their language ability.
Yep, yep,
That's
yep.
what I think.
Hmm. In recent time, Vietnam has made significant stride in technology and innovation, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, according to you, what are the most exciting startup companies from your country that you find exciting and promising?
Well, I think it's VinFast could be one, and Zalo could be the other one. Those two are pretty popular at the moment. Zalo, it's really living. It's really striking right now. I think it's just like it's really hard to replace them because like VinFast, it's such a big technologies because like in my country, I don't really find much sources that they could produce a lot of cars. I mean, they kind of take it from different countries to kind of become a producer. But for VinFast, I think they're pretty popular because they create cars and they sell it to countries like different countries out there. I couldn't really name them. But as for Zalo, um, I think Zalo it's not very likely to die. Zalo it has been there for a very long time. Zalo I has been there for as long as I can remember as a kid.
Hmm.
But it's popular, but I don't really see much innovations in Zalo, so I guess it's fine. But as for VinFast, I do have a lot of expectations for VinFast, really.
Hmm. So Jalo is an instance messaging application just like WhatsApp. VinFast is a electric vehicle company.
Yeah,
So Lee, according to your perspective, what are the most popular smartphone brands in Vietnam?
this is a pretty interesting question, this because Vietnam produced a lot of phones in the past, but none of them had become popular because because like Samsung and iPhone just irreplaceable. That's just what I think.
Hmm.
And it's like they didn't really have their swag in the past because like people really love big brands phones like Samsung and iPhone. It's like you don't really need much to go to prestigious places for you to buy like a very original brand Samsung or iPhone. You can just like buy it secondhand in Vietnam so that, you know, instead of considering buying a Vietnamese phone, they just think about if they don't have enough money, then they could just like go into the internet to buy a popular brand phone secondhand. So that I just think that
Mhm.
it's not very popular about stuff like that.
According to you, it is a Samsung and Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay. Here in India also we used to have many local smartphone brand in India, but nowadays it is ruled by Samsung and Apple. I can totally see
Yeah.
that.
Local phones in my country, they just like kind of non-existing.
Yep. So Lee, what are the some misconception or stereotype about Vietnam that you like to address?
I think there's just one this thing is that like I have heard from people from like America, they said that they meet a lot of immigrants. They're from Vietnam and they speak English horribly. They speak like the Vietnamese accent when they like go to English countries. They speak like half Vietnamese, half English, and it sounds
Mhm.
horrible. And they make the assumption that all Vietnamese sound like that. If I have to describe you the Vietnamese accent that the Americans they describe us as they should speak like this. Hello man, how you doing? How you doing, man? Yeah, it's like that,
Mhm.
and that's wrong. That's very wrong because like there are people who care about their accent and they study very very hard to fix their accent, and they don't care about the Vietnamese anymore. They just kind of put the Vietnamese and the English into two different areas, and when they speak English, they speak perfect English. That's what I want to clarify it again. You know.
Well, it's okay. I mean, it's just a foreign language for us, you know? I mean, English is not a native language for you, so do mine. So it's completely fine, I would say. So, Lee, what are some of the biggest challenges facing your country today? Hmm.
It's still the educational system. Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
that.
Hmm. We discussed it. You explained it to us. Yep. So it is because of the government, which you already mentioned before.
Yeah,
The
it's
government
because of
is
the
not
government.
not caring this that much.
Yeah, they do not pay enough attention to that. They
Yep,
do
yep,
not put that into consideration. So that's like one of the big problem.
yep, yep. So, man, one sensitive question I want to ask you about.
Yeah,
Could you explain what Agent Orange is? Because many international audience, they may not ever of this, you know. They know what happened to Japan in Hiroshima,
it's like
Nagasaki, but they do
it's
not
like
know this is as vital as what happened in Japan, you know. So can you explain what Agent Orange is?
okay.
Yeah.
So based on my perspective, I study about this. We actually study about this in secondary school, and
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of like Vietnamese literature. There was a lot of Vietnamese stories about it. Because
Hmm.
like as I mentioned with you before, is that my country used to be enslaved all the time, you know? So we were in war, right?
Yeah.
So other countries they kind of put a lot of like destructive weapons. They kind of drop it in my countries, and it's like caused a lot of explosions. And by that explosion they release the kind of like a toxic poison in the air, and when people breathe it, they get the orange, the Agent Orange, as you said before,
Hmm.
and it kill a lot of people because there are no cure for it until this day. There are no cure for it, and people when they have it, they just kind of they die. They have no other reason. Like I think they could probably maintain it a little bit more, but it's like for people who kind of breathe this kind of toxic poison inside their body,
Hmm.
and their blood become orange. I think that's the reason why it's called that. I saw all those pictures in our Vietnamese notebook and talk about that. It's all related to war, and the reason why it's not very famous in my country right now anymore. It's because it's that the government. I think the government don't want to educate it about war anymore because we kind of want to lead to peace, you know. But we when we study about history, we still kind of briefly mention it,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep, yep. For those who are wondering, Agent Orange, it is a chemical used during the Vietnam War, and it is used by the United States.
Yes, yes, it's like
Yeah.
that. You know when toxic poison it's got released in the
Yep,
air
yep.
and it kind of got in everything,
Yeah.
literally everything, and you just like have a little bit of interaction with it, and you get the disease, and that's your end of day, you know?
Millions of Vietnamese people have faced health issues due to Agent Orange, which leads to long-term suffering, disabilities.
Yes,
And there has been report of countless deaths due to Agent Orange.
it's like it's called dioxin also, right?
Yep, yep.
But it's also like it's also a very sensitive topic in Vietnam,
Yep,
so
yep, yep.
people wouldn't really remind us about that anyways. But this is based on my memories in the past in my secondary school that I briefly study about it.
Hmm. So, Lee, what's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
The best piece of advice I ever received, well, it's actually from the social media, always from the
Hmm.
social media, because like my family background's a little bit special, I could say. So my mom, she doesn't really give me much advices. Even if you ask her, she wouldn't really talk much because like maybe that's her lifestyle. She wouldn't really feel comfortable sharing it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past, me and my sister, we adapted a very independent lifestyle, you know. So basically everything, every kind of knowledge, every kind of like uh everything that we have, we adopted from different people, but not from my mom because she didn't really teach us a lot. And the best advice that I ever received from the internet is that to always think that you're not perfect. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Always think that I'm not perfect, even though that I achieve a lot of things because like I beat obesity. So I just
Yeah.
kind of I have a few ego in myself. But
Mm-hmm.
because of that advice, I know that I'm not perfect. So I
Yep,
always
yep.
study more. I always learn more from other people. I always like try to become a better person, like try to improve, you know, try to make more improvements. Like I'm still studying English, I'm still improving, I'm still studying to go to the university. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't stopped yet. I haven't really stopped yet, just because it has become my lifestyle, you know, it
Yep,
has
yep,
become
yep.
my personality.
Yeah,
Basically,
man,
it's like that.
absolutely, absolutely agree. You know the famous scientist Albert Einstein. He said that what he knows is the drop of water. What he doesn't know is the ocean. So if a
Yeah,
scientist like Einstein say like that, then what we are?
we are even a fraction of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sad, bro. It's really sad.
Yep, yep, yep. So, man, that's the end of the podcast. Any
Oh,
final thoughts?
I just want to thank you for this conversation. It's like Really, it's like having the opportunity to talk to someone like this is just like such a great, and it's just like it's really rare for me because like people don't really want to spend much time talking to people, make an interview. And if anyone's watching this, I just want you guys to be like, if you guys are learning English like me, if you guys are improving like me, I think you should be open more. Oh, you should be open-minded to people like this because, like, especially for people like you,
Mhm.
you kind of made my day. It's just awesome.
Thanks, man. Means a lot. I'm glad that you liked the podcast. So, Lee, before we wrap up, could you kindly ask our viewers to subscribe to the Billion Insight podcast?
Damn, I'll subscribe. I'll tell my family to subscribe too, man.
To our listener, could you please
Oh
ask?
yeah, yeah. Please subscribe to him. For the viewers that are watching the podcast, subscribe to the Billion Insights right now.
Thank you. Could you do that in Vietnamese language?
Cho tất cả những người đang nghe cái podcast này, subscribe cho the Billion Insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically done.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing your experience.
Yeah, it's no problem, bro. If you ever need something, you can just ask me again. We can do more something like this.
Yep. I really looking forward to do another podcast with you. Maybe once you into the uni, once you into the
Yeah.
university.
Okay.
Yeah. So Lee, we wish you all the best for your future and your country's future.
Thanks, bro. You
Yep.
too, man.
Yep. Thank you. And to our listener, thank you for tuning to the Billion Insight podcast. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes. And until next time, dream big and work hard. This is Sri signing out. Peace.